Hello, and welcome to another mess talk. So I think today, after I clean my face, we'll do the clay mask. And I'll kind of update you guys on where we're at with our TTC journey. Hasn't been quite a week yet. It's been 5 days. So after we talked last, we did our trigger shot, and my husband nicked me with the needle as it was coming out. Typically, it really doesn't hurt. There might be a little bit of discomfort, like I said last time, as it's going in. But yeah, he nicked me as it was going out, and I made the remark of, oh, that hurt more going out than in. And he was like, yeah, I kind of nicked you. And there's a little mark there. It made me bleed, guys. It made me bleed. So, we did that. And then, yesterday, I started my progesterone. So, this is something we only started in the last medicated cycle. And it's interesting, because I don't know that there's any indication, really, that, you know, my progesterone was kind of failing me, except for the fact that we haven't gotten pregnant. And I guess there's some possibilities that there's been some chemical pregnancies, though they hadn't been confirmed. I think our medicated one last cycle kind of confirmed that, but otherwise it hadn't actually been confirmed. And that happened with the progesterone, which is, you know, a little freaky. I actually started bleeding like 2 days before I was supposed to test, and I had messaged them and I was like, hey, like, I'm bleeding, like, a lot, like, I'm on my period or something. Do I continue taking this? And they're like, yes, continue taking it until your test day. And I, like, called it then. I was like, oh, we're not pregnant, there's no way. And I had taken a test, and it had, like, a very faint positive on it, but I was not convinced that that really meant anything, because I see lines sometimes, I don't know, it was very faint. So I was like, alright, well, I'll still test on my test day, and we'll see what happens. So I go and I test on my test day, and to my surprise, there is a darker line there. And I was like, what do you mean there's a darker line here? And so I called them and I let them know that it was clearly positive. Like, I'm not hallucinating this. My husband agrees with me. It is clearly positive. And they sent me in for baseline beta the next day, and there was nothing there. For those of you that don't know, apparently HCG stays longer in your urine than it does in your blood. Like, when it goes through your blood in the first place, like, it takes longer to get into your urine, right? So it takes longer to get out as well. And that's kind of like a disappointing thing, right? Like, you're like, oh, like, there's a positive on here. And then you go and you're like, oh, must have been a chemical. And I gotta say, like, the bleeding and the cramps that I had were much more than my regular period. I kind of thought it was from the progesterone, but I was also like, oh, this might be a chemical, and that's why that's happening. And which turns out it was. So I'm like, is this progesterone even strong enough, really? And last cycle wasn't a medicated cycle, but I took the progesterone. I felt like maybe it would help my chances. With that, though, it's always, like, difficult to know if I actually ovulated when I did, and I ran out of OPKs. So it's like, did I ovulate when I had that peak? Did I have another peak, like, later? Like, the timing lined up, or I did ovulate around then, but I don't know. So with this cycle, I decided to get this progesterone cream, and it says it's 20 milligrams per pump with herbs, extracts, and nutrients, mostly derived from, or I don't know if I can say mostly because it's not the first ingredient, but they talk about wild yams on here. So it's deprived from wild yams. And it has like white tea infusion, green tea infusion, wild yam infusion, salt flour, seed oil, and then shea butter, alcohol, glycerin, a bunch of stuff. Obviously, I can't name everything in here, so I don't know how like safe it is. And it says like it's very potent. That's what it says. And there's about 150 applications per bottle. And I used it for 2 cycles so far, because there was an unmedicated cycle before the last unmedicated cycle that I tried to use it for, and that was a really short cycle. It was only 3 weeks, and I'm like, I must have ovulated during my period, like literally, or at a really short luteal phase that time. I don't know. But anyways, so I decided that I use this in the morning when I wake up. I put it on my tummy. It says to like alternate regions. I mostly just put it in my tummy because I feel like that's the closest to my uterus, but I could put it on like my thighs or something. I don't know. And I'm hoping it helps and it gives me some of that progesterone. There's people in the reviews that were like, I got pregnant the first time I used this. They did, but like, does that mean this is what caused it or helps them? I don't know. But I decided that I will use this in the morning, and then at night I do my suppository pills. Apparently there's applicators that you can use. I did not know that. Nobody informed me of that. You can just stick it up there with your finger, which, whatever, but when you're bleeding, So I started that yesterday. I'm very tired today. This happened last time I was on both. Like, I did the trigger shot and then I was on the progesterone. Don't know if this is from that or if it's actually from my sleep last night. I was in like a dead sleep. I fell asleep, I want to say around like 9:40. I went to sleep early. We were in bed early, but I feel like that's around the time I fell asleep. But I woke up at 4 o'clock and I was like, whoa. I'm like, whoa. And that was such a deep sleep. It's 4:08 or whatever. And I turned next to me and my husband's not there. And I'm like, babe. And I didn't hear him. So I didn't know where he was or what he was doing. My cat was also not there, which is very weird because usually at that time of day, like, he's usually sleeping on top of me or like on my legs, on my face, on my body, somewhere. Sometimes he, cuddles me, and he's the big spoon and I'm the little spoon, and that's adorable. And then like I was like laying there, and I don't know if I fell back to sleep or not, but eventually my husband came in and I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, the lights in the bathroom are not working. Clearly they're working now because we're doing this, but they were not working, and he was trying to fix them. But we do have a fix, obviously. It was a weird fix, but we got it. But Dad woke me up, and then I had him come into bed and cuddle me, so I could go back to sleep, which is nice. I need the sleep. I don't like sleep, but I need sleep. I'm the type of person that, like, on weekends, I get less sleep than I do during the week, because that's how much I do not like sleep. I don't want it. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I am testing out my trigger, so we can see when it fades. Right now, it's still bright. It seemed like it was starting to fade today. I wasn't really sure. But I feel like the trigger stays in me for a while. Last time, I kept on getting faint lines after, I felt like it shouldn't be there anymore. So this time, I'm hoping it kind of leaves. And you can really tell before it comes back. Fingers crossed, you know. It's been over 2 years of doing this, so it's a long time. And how great would it be if we could kind of tell everybody around Christmas? So at that point, I'll be like 8 weeks. We'll hopefully have confirmation that, you know, the pregnancy is stuck. And then people's gifts can involve a baby. Wouldn't that be great? Holiday thing. Would be fantastic. But, you know, we gotta see what happens. We're rooting for the cause. If we get pregnant now, our baby will be due in July, mid-July, which is around my best friend's birthday and her husband's birthday. So that'll be interesting. They usually go on a trip or something. So, I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens with that. I'm like hoping, I really want my kids to have a summer birthday. I think summer birthdays are pretty baller. Although I know some kids get disappointed with having summer birthdays because they're like, we never have it in school. We never get to celebrate in school. But like, you get to celebrate outside of school and celebrate all day. And well, I'll catch you guys next week. I hope you enjoyed this update.